This podcast is brought to you by the Deluxe Edition Network. To find more great shows on our network, head over to theden.show.
Hold on, stop. Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.
What is going on? And welcome to Take on the World with
Johnny!
And Mike D. Lexi is again working. It's a sad, sad, sad time for the show.
Well, gotta get it in.
Gotta get it in.
Especially around the holidays.
I might try to get one in with her during the week.
Oh.
Do something true crime with her.
I think she would have enjoyed this one.
So we just got past Thanksgiving.
Man, I can barely hear you, bro.
I just think it's you. How's that?
Uh,
Is that better?
Not really.
Better? Well, we're showing up on the gimmick, so.
Yeah, it's just like you're not amplified. Maybe it's just been a while since I've done this.
Maybe.
Fuck it. Whatever.
So we just got past Thanksgiving. My nephew and his new wife are up for Thanksgiving, which is awesome. We went down last week for their wedding. And, so we were off last week, back this week, doing our thing. What's going on? What happened in the last week?
Where should I start? I got two stories.
Okay.
I'll start with the one I just finished. So, driving down the road, and I found, I was going down the road, saw this, what appeared to be a woman's wallet laying on the side of the road. So I literally just like freaking veered off into the side of the road, and I told my daughter to get out, pick it up. She's like, "Dad, we're not going. It's cold." I said, "We better hurry up." And
Make it quick, then.
yeah. So she reluctantly ran out there, picked up this wallet, and then there was a couple stores. And I knocked on the front doors, and they were all closed. So I don't know where this lady is, so I opened the wallet. I looked at the address, and it was about, I think it's 6 minutes from where I was. So I punched in the address, drove up to the house, knocked on the door, and a guy answered, and he was like a little, like, who knocks on your door these days? You know?
Yeah.
And so I told him, I said, "Listen," I said, "I found this wallet on the side of the road. I opened it up, had this address in it." I said, I assume it's your wife? No. Never known these days. But he's like, "Oh my God." He's like, "She's going to be so happy. Oh my God." He's like, "Can I give you something?" I'm like, "I don't need anything." And then he asked me like 4 or 5 times, like, "Can I at least get your phone number? She's going to want to call you and at least say thank you." All right, I'm okay with that. And so she had texted me this morning. And
you being a slow texter, just got back to her.
I just got back to her because I'm a working man.
Slow texter.
And anyways, I just said, I don't need anything. She wanted to send money or whatever. Will you quit? That's better. When it's the one on the way in the right's all the way up, that's better.
I know, because it's the headphone volume.
Yeah, they muted me. So
you just couldn't hear yourself. We didn't mute you. I can mute you by doing this.
And so, anyways, make a long story short, I just said, I don't need anything. I don't want anything. But if you feel obliged, you can send a thank you note to my daughter. Just thank you for being a responsible young lady, doing what's right.
That's cool. That's cool. Teaching them young kids how to do it right.
Yeah. And it was funny because I literally just had this conversation with her a week ago. I said, if you found a wallet on the ground with $500 in it, what would you do? Would you keep the $500 or give it back to the owner? And both my daughter and my niece said, we would give it back to the owner. Good. There's a lot of people out there that wouldn't.
Right.
And, so I just go, like, I know I've lost my wallet before, and
I know it sucks.
Getting your ID back, your credit cards, your fucking grocery store cards, just everything. You know, blows. It's a pain in the ass. So that was story number one. You got any stories?
No, just that we traveled down to North Carolina and went to the wedding and we had a good time. Visited a couple breweries down there. Drove home from North Carolina, visited a couple breweries on the way. Drove 3 hours out of the way to go to Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's. You just went down to Westchester.
Yeah, I know. There's one down outside of Philly, too.
My sister raves about Trader Joe's.
We always find good cheeses and stuff there.
I don't think I've ever been there.
The one in Virginia that we went to had alcohol, so I got a couple beers. There's a couple Christmas beers in there. We could crack one of them then too.
Okay.
I got it's a chocolate babka lager.
A babka. That's a dessert.
Yeah, it's a Jewish bread of some sort.
That's right. But I know my other story was that that video that I didn't send you the video. I just told you.
Yeah,
what the video was. And the Whitakers make another appearance. That was fucking bizarre. I loved how. Did you watch the whole thing?
I didn't watch any of it.
You didn't?
You sent me the link. I didn't have time to look at it. I've been busy.
So
I made empanadas today.
There was the guy that barks like a dog. he like wanted a watermelon. So he goes over and he picks up the watermelon. He's like, yeah. And he literally like fucking just slam dunks it into the shopping cart. And then I lost my shit because he wanted the one aisle and he picked up the same fucking sweatpants that I had when we were in Colorado. And he's barking like, and the guy goes, what's his name? Frank or whatever. He says, Frank, I think you're in the women's aisle. And I was like, so I guess you either got to be drunk or fucking inbred retarded to
get Flaming Hot Cheeto pants.
Flaming Hot Cheeto sweatpants.
So if you have Flaming Hot Cheeto sweatpants, send us an email, takeonaworld411@gmail.com.
I would love to get a hold of the Brohio because they know who I'm talking about. And just to watch the video, and it's like, oh, the guy comes back. At the end, the guy comes back to, visit him again. And the guy barks like a dog. Frank, whatever the fuck his name is. He's like, Frank, where are the clothes I bought you? He's not wearing the clothes I bought you. And I guess he's got arthritis in the knee. He keeps like showing people and like pulling his leg up or his pant leg up and you see his knees all swollen. Looks like he needs to be drained. And he turns around and like walks back into the house, but he's just got fucking shit all up the backside of him and down his pants. Like he had explosive diarrhea in his jeans. And at one point he's like laying on the couch, like crying, and I actually thought he was drunk because he couldn't walk right. He was acting weirder than normal, but yeah, it's odd West Virginia. That's like deep down the lowest part of West Virginia you can get. And these people, there's like, they ran into one of their other brothers at the Walmart, and he seemed like he was able to hold a conversation. He still seemed a little slow, but he was able to hold a conversation, like answer questions. And then they went back to the house, and there was another brother or another sister and his wife or daughter. I don't know. They're all related.
His sister wife?
Yeah, but they were able to, answer questions and shit. So, nobody probably knows what the fuck we're talking about with this. And,
just look it up on YouTube.
The Whitakers, yeah. It's an inbred family from South Carolina. And I think right off the bat, there's like 4 of them that can't speak. One barks like a dog. The other just smiles and just says like, "Yeah, boy." just makes like weird noises. The other old lady, she has a cane and she just stares at you. She doesn't answer you. She like just stares at you. And then I guess the oldest sister, she can actually remember things and answer questions. And apparently, there's like 4 or 5 of them that don't live with them and just kind of visit every now and then.
Are they the normal ones?
They're more normal than the other 4 of them.
So the Whitakers.
Whitakers.
West Virginia. I remember when you showed me that the first time, I was like, what the
Yeah, is this
hell?
real?
Why did you send me this?
And yeah, this guy, like, well, I guess these 2 are from New York or whatever, and they're 2 filmmakers. They piled them up in the car, took them to Walmart. They said, anything you want, just throw it in the cart, we'll buy it. They wound up coming out with like 5 shopping carts full of crap. And it was literally like crap. Just clothes, a microwave,
Flamin' Hot Cheeto pants.
Flamin' Hot Cheetos pants, a lot of bags of chips. Yeah, how the fuck did they make it?
I don't know. They can't be the only people like that in the world.
I mean, I can't see that they don't have a car, for one. So how did they go to the doctors?
Well, apparently they don't.
Well, apparently they do, because the guy, they said that he went to the doctors and he has arthritis in his knee and they gave him cream for it.
You don't know that it was a legit doctor.
Well, yeah, true. True.
You don't know that.
It was West Virginia. Deep down south, West Virginia.
Yeah, today I learned how to make Panamanian empanadas, which was cool. Made them from scratch.
They were delish. They were delicious.
So, this topic you came up with.
I didn't come up with it.
Oh, no, you came up with it. And, so you should be well versed on it. Well studied.
I just hear shit and regurgitate it.
This is, that like, I had kind of heard of this, but not like in depth until I started really researching it. I'm like, what the heck?
Aha, I got you.
I'm like, this guy, I don't know, messed up. So, as true crime stories go, this has got to be one of the most unusual I've ever seen. It involves a game show, and it never really received the same attention as the degree of like Dahmer or Little Dicky, Richard Ramirez. Ronald Alcala actually won a game show while he was in the middle of his killing spree. Now, this not just a game show.
It was a matchmaking game show.
This was a game show that, like, I remember from the 70s and 80s.
What was it called?
The dating game.
What do you like to do there,
What?
little Richie? Ronald?
I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. I'm going to be Mikey jump ahead for a second. I'm going to tell you how they introduced him on the dating game. And keep that in mind as we're going through this. I have a little bit of research.
Jesus Christ.
So when they introduced him on the dating game, they introduced him by saying, a quote from the game show host.
Right there. I had never seen...
No. Don't read it. He was introduced as a, quote, successful photographer who got his start when his father found him in the darkroom at age 13, fully developed. Between takes, you might find him skydiving or motorcycling.
Okay, the first one's a little disconcerting.
Yeah. Well, you had to understand the dating game. Did you ever see the dating game?
Just the clips from his shit.
The host of it was something Lang, I think.
Probably a womanizer.
He didn't seem like it, but
So it's a big dick reference. I get that.
they always made like a lot of sexual innuendos on the show.
Yeah, it was the 70s.
Yeah. And he said, because I have the clip, and I'm going to link that. There's the clip right here. I'm going to link it in the description of his appearance on a dating game. And like the host, like, yeah, he's a friend. I really like this guy. So, Ronald Alcala was born Rodrigo Yaquez Alcala. Don't know how to pronounce the last name. He was born August 23rd, 1943 in San Antonio, Texas. His parents, Raul and Ana Gutierrez, moved to Mexico in 1951. But he, his mother, and two sisters were abandoned by the father in 1954. So here we go again, theme that has reoccurred in a lot of the true crime stuff we've done. Abandonment. It doesn't really say he got picked on or anything, that he was sickly. Those are the two things that always come up. His mother moved them to suburban Los Angeles that same year. So 1954, moved to Los Angeles. He joined the Army in 1961. Another military thing. He had a nervous breakdown in 1964 and was accused of sexual misconduct and went AWOL when he hitchhiked from Fort Bragg to his mother's house. The military psychiatrist diagnosed Alcala with narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, and malignant narcissism with psychopathy and sexual sadism comorbidities. Swallow that down.
He's a fucked up dude.
So, malignant narcissist is a term used to describe someone who has symptoms of both narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder, and that's why they're comorbidities. Combined, these disorders can show up as arrogance, need for power and recognition, and tendencies to use or exploit others for selfish reasons. The psychopathic personality disorder and sexual sadism share several common characteristics, such as emotional detachment from the suffering of others and or the preparedness to inflict pain or injury. So he was a sicko. He's fucked up in the head. Even though he went AWOL, he didn't get a dishonorable discharge. He was discharged on medical grounds in 1964. Which, if you went AWOL, you usually get a big chicken dinner. Discharged, medical grounds, 1964. After he left the Army, he went to and then graduated from UCLA. Now, there's a couple tie-ins with this guy that I don't know, maybe if you didn't know about. He had close connections to a couple other weirdos. 3 times. So, you don't know about it? Okay. So his first known crime was in September of 1969. Alcala was seen by a witness in Los Angeles. And they called the police after seeing him lure an 8-year-old Tally Shapiro into his Hollywood apartment. The police were called. When they arrived, Alcala answered the door. The police asked to come in, and he said, "Just a minute, I just got out of the shower." And he was told to hurry up. The cop said, hurry up. You got 10 seconds. I'm kicking this door down. So the officer kicked the door in and said that the image that he saw when he went into that apartment will haunt him forever. You could see a body on the kitchen floor. And he said all he could see was the back then, Mary Jane shoes were like popular with the girls. I think they're the black and white ones.
Yeah.
And the image he keeps seeing when he has nightmares was those Mary Jane shoes sitting with a blood pooled around them. And it seemed to be like way too much blood to come from such a little girl. Amazingly, the girl was alive, but she had been raped, strangled, and beaten with a steel bar. He also tried to strangle her with the steel bar. They searched it, so they're in there now. He was there when they got there. They're in the apartment looking for this dude. He goes out the back door, And they were more worried with, of course, trying to keep this girl alive. So she was rushed to the hospital. They searched the apartment and uncovered a lot of photography equipment, a lot of pictures of young identified girls. They went and questioned his UCLA professors, and they said, no, he would never hurt anybody. No. Of course, you know how college professors are. They have no attachment to reality. So he fled the state and enrolled in NYU Film School to study under Roman Polanski. You know who Roman Polanski is?
Mm-hmm.
He was studying under the name John Berger. Now, Roman Polanski was arrested and charged with 6 offenses against a 13-year-old girl whom he drugged and raped. So he had a really good role model in life.
Yeah.
That's the first creepy connection that he had. The cops are looking for this guy. They're looking for Alcala. They're not looking for John Berger. So in June that same year, 23-year-old TWA flight attendant Cornelia Michelle
Michelle.
Really?
Michelle.
Whatever. Michelle was found raped and strangled in her Manhattan apartment. Her murder remained unsolved until 2011.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. When John Berger, a.k.a. Rodney Alcala, was identified as the murderer. She was stripped naked, strangled with a nylon stocking. It was said she was strangled to the point of near death and then brought back several times. And there was speculation that that's so the killer could see the fear in her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Which, sidebar, I've always said, like, if you get in a fight, you grab somebody by the throat, the look of panic in somebody's eyes, because they can't breathe. There was a bite mark found on her breast, and without the forensic tools that they had today, it remained cold for 40 years. And he was not a suspect until 2011. In this guy just creeps me out. In 1971, he got a job at a New Hampshire arts and drama camp for girls as a counselor, using another alias, John Berger, spelled B-U instead of B-E. I think, after the murders in New York, and who knows how many there were. These are just the ones they can connect to him now. In early 1971, Alcala was on the 10 most wanted fugitives list for the FBI. So, this guy was on the wall of the top 10 fugitives. That's just crazy. A few months later, 2 children attending the camp saw a photo of him on the FBI poster in the post office. Back in the day, you used to have all the top 10.
Yeah.
In the post office on a clipboard. Why they were paging through the clipboard, I don't know. So these 2 girls went back to the dean of the camp and said, that looks like Mr. Berger. So Alcala got arrested and was extradited to California. Now at this time, he was only accused of one assault on an underage girl. Yeah, none of the other stuff had come out yet. So they extradited him back. But by the time he was extradited, Callie Shapiro's parents had relocated the family to Mexico, and they refused to have her come back to the United States to testify against him. Since they couldn't convict him of rape and the attempted murder without a witness, he was offered a plea deal on lesser charges. Now, I don't understand why he'd take the plea deal, because if they couldn't get him on rape or attempted murder, they also couldn't get him on the molestation charges. But he was convicted of molestation, so he took the deal. The judge sentenced him to 1 year to life and registered as a sex offender. So this guy's a sicko. I already want to kill him.
1 year to life?
1 year to life. That's not an unusual sentence for a sex crime against a minor. I think it's an unjust sentence. But we've had guys in our jail that were sentenced to 1 to 99 years. So they have to walk off a very long tail, so if they ever mess up again, they go back to jail. And, how hard it is to walk off a tail. So, He was paroled in 1974. He only served 17 months. Only 2 months after his release, he was rearrested for assaulting a 13-year-old girl, only identified as Julie J. in court documents. She's a minor, so she's not identified. Julie had accepted what she thought was going to be a ride to school, and it turned out to be a lot worse than that for her. Alcala was again convicted and paroled after serving 2 more years. After his second release in 1977, his parole officer said, you know, even though you're a flight risk and a repeat offender, I'm going to let you travel to New York. So in New York, oh my God, dude. Look at these connections. Yeah, how about you read this part?
It is now believed by NYPD cold case investigators now believe a week after arriving in Manhattan, Alcala killed Ellen Jane Hoover. She was a 23-year-old daughter of the owner of the popular Hollywood nightclub Kairos and the goddaughter of Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. She disappeared in July of 77. Her remains were found buried on the ground of the Rockefeller estate in Westchester County.
There was a lot more information for this, but like I already got like 11 pages here. If I had gone farther into this one, it could have been its own episode.
But this is its own episode.
No, just that murder.
Oh.
So,
No.
Again, this was not connected to him till a long time later. So in 78, he briefly worked as a typesetter for the LA Times. And
Oh, so now he's back in LA.
yeah, look at this.
Fucking weird.
Look at this.
Whoa. Easy with the highlight in here. You screw me up. He was interviewed by the Hillside Strangler Task Force as part of their investigation of known sex offenders. Although he was one of these guys, so they're interviewing the guy who was actually doing the crimes. Now, what do you think he would do next?
Well, he was actually, for a brief period of time, a suspect in the Hillside Strangler case. Like, I didn't realize that connection either. He was ruled out as a suspect, but as a result of his interaction with the police now, he was arrested for marijuana possession and did a brief sentence for the marijuana possession.
It's Christ. I know people go away for longer than that for way less.
So during this period of time, he tried to put himself out to people as a professional photographer, and he would just walk up to young men, like boys, and young women, and say, "Hey, I'm a professional photographer. I'd like to take pictures for my portfolio." And he would just approach people in a real creepy manner. But it was the 70s, and people were like, "Oh, okay, whatever, dude. I'm high." So he convinced hundreds of young men and women to allow him to take their picture. A Times coworker later recalled that Alcala shared these photos with workmates, and I thought it was weird. But I was young. I didn't know anything. When I asked why he took the photos, he said their moms asked him to. And I remember a lot of the girls were naked. So they talked to a woman one of the women he had taken pictures of. He said he was a professional. So in my mind, I was being a model for him. A woman who Alcala photographed in 1979. The portfolio also included a spread after spread of naked teenage boys, she said. Most of the photos were sexually explicit. Most of them still remain unidentified. Police fear that some of the subjects may be additional cold case victims. In 1979, according to later trial testimony, Alcala knocked unconscious, raped a 15-year-old Monique Hoyt while she was posing for pictures. So he was around taking these pictures, and at least one of them he assaulted, and probably ended up doing more to her. But I have a link that I'm going to add on here. There's 100 pictures of people who are still unidentified from his photos. And none of them are explicit. But I'm going to link that to this in case anybody out there in our vast audience knows anybody needs pictures. There's a way to contact the authorities and help identify the people in the pictures. So in 78, this is when he became a contestant on the dating game. He was introduced as a successful photographer who got his start when his father found him in a dark room at age 13, fully developed.
So inappropriate.
Yeah. I know. Well, that show, like I watch this clip and the whole segment is inappropriate.
That shit just didn't give a shit back then.
No. What was all innuendo and wink, wink, nod, nod? He was bachelor number one on stage. A fellow contestant described him as a very strange guy with very bizarre opinions. And even some of his answers were bizarre. And I'm also going to link that in the description below. Surprisingly, he won the competition and got a date with Bachelorette Cheryl Bradshaw. Cheryl then refused to go out with him because he said he was creepy. He apparently is not used to rejection and took it hard. It is said that he committed 3 murders after this appearance on the dating game, and a psychologist who was interviewed said that rejection could be a factor in those murders. So Robin Samso, 12 years old, disappeared near her home in Huntington Beach, California. I was there. Between her home and her ballet class on June 20th, 1979. Her body was found 12 days later, decomposing in the Los Angeles foothills. Her friends told police that they were approached by a stranger on the beach, asked to take their pictures. I watched a video where they talked about this, and apparently they were on their bikes, she was walking, or vice versa, and they left, and they thought she had left too, and that was the last time anybody saw her. Composite sketch was made and circulated by detectives. Alcala's parole officer recognized him from the sketch. They searched Alcala's mother's house, and the police found a receipt for a storage unit in Seattle. In that same video, they said that I guess the composite sketch was not just circulated to law enforcement, that it was released. And when he saw the sketch, he asked his sister to get stuff out of his mother's house and put it in a storage unit that he had in Seattle. If I'm remembering it correctly, I'm not sure. But they found the receipt for the storage unit, and that was the only thing left behind. So when they searched that storage unit, they found Robin's earrings. He was arrested in 1979, and he was denied bail. He was tried and convicted and sentenced to death in 1980. But, in a twist, the verdict was overturned by the Supreme Court due to a technicality. The jury was improperly informed of his prior sex crimes. So I guess the judge said it's not admissible, and somehow it got into court, so it was overturned. So in 1986, he was tried again for the same crime. The second trial went nearly identical to the first one, with the exception of the bad prior acts information was not introduced. He was again convicted and again sentenced to death. And you think that should be the end. But it's not. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal nullified the second conviction as part because a witness was not allowed to support the contention that the park ranger who found Robin's body was hypnotized by investigators.
What?
Yeah. He was trying to claim that the park ranger was hypnotized by investigators, and that's the only reason Alcala was arrested.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. In 2003, they were preparing a third prosecution of the case. Orange County investigators learned that Alcala's DNA, sampled under a new state law, over his objections, matched semen left at a murder-rape scene of two women in Los Angeles. Additional evidence, including another cold case DNA match in 2004, led to Alcala's indictment on 4 additional murders. So the 4 additional are Jill Barcombe, 18 years old, runaway from New York, found rolled up like a ball in Los Angeles ravine in 1977. It was originally thought she was a victim of the Hillside Strangler. Georgia Wickstick,
Yeah.
27, found bludgeoned in her apartment in Malibu in 1977. Charlotte Lamb, 31, found raped, strangled, and left in the laundry room of the El Segundo apartment complex in 1978. And Jill, 21, not even trying to butcher that last name, was killed in her Burbank apartment in 1979. All these bodies were found posed carefully chosen positions. I don't know what position it was. I didn't search crime scene photos or anything like that. I just read what they said that they were posed. Oh, a second pair of earrings were found in that same Seattle locker storage unit, which had residue of Charlotte Lamb's DNA on it. So, while he was incarcerated between his second and third trials, Alcala wrote a self-published book entitled "You, the Jury," in which he claimed innocence in the Samso case and suggested a different suspect. So I'm going to sit in jail. I'm going to write a book and say, John did it.
Right.
He also filed 2 frivolous lawsuits against the California penal system for a slip and fall incident and for refusing to provide him with a low-fat meal. Now, this is back in the day when you got what you were given, and that's it.
Yeah.
Now, it would be a travesty of justice if someone didn't get a low-fat meal.
Right.
Non-GMO. Now we're in 2003. Prosecutors entered a motion to join the
pardon me.
Samso case with the 4 new discovered victims. Alcala's lawyers said, no, you're not going to do that. Because, we may be able to prove reasonable doubt for 1 murder, but if you have 5 murders with DNA evidence on 4 of the 5, that, we don't have a chance. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, and in 2006 they ruled in the prosecution's favor. And they didn't start his trial until February 2010.
Wow.
And he was tried jointly for all 4 murders. So now, Samco's case was 1979. He was arrested. So this family's been waiting for justice all that time.
It's 30 years. 80s and 90s, 90s, 2000s. Yeah.
Right. He was arrested shortly after that murder. But he's also been in jail this whole time because he was denied bail.
He's been in jail since the 70s?
Since his arrest in...
How the fuck do you do 30 years in jail without getting sentenced?
Because he kept on fighting the trial, he was denied bail. As far as I know, he was denied bail. He never left jail. So he was arrested in 1979, denied bail, and all that time he's been in jail. As far as I could find. If I'm wrong, please correct me. So, for the third trial, he said, I'm going to be my own attorney. And this shit is crazy. Like, for 5 hours, he played the role of an investigator and witness, or interrogator and witness. he would ask himself in questions, addressing himself as Mr. Alcala, and he would use a deeper than normal voice, and then he would answer him in his normal voice. Excuse me, Mike. Where were you on the night of December 4th, 1978?
God.
I don't remember. And they said when he did answer the questions, he would ramble in a monotone voice, and it just ramble on and on and on. And he also tried to say that he couldn't have done this murder because when it happened, he was applying for a job at Knott's Berry Farm as a photographer. At the time she was kidnapped.
What, 9 o'clock at night?
So he showed the clip of him on the dating game, and he used that to try to say that the earrings that were found in his locker were not Samso's, they were his. And this Jed Mills, who was an actor who competed against Alcala on the show, told a reporter that at the time earrings were not socially acceptable on men. I've never seen a man with earrings in his ear. I would have noticed them on him. So he's saying, "No, I never saw him with them on." He's using that for your alibi, and he really didn't attempt to dispute the other 4 murders. Just saying he doesn't remember murdering anybody. So as part of his closing argument, he played a song. You ever hear the song Alice's Restaurant? You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant.
Maybe.
It's a very 70-ish. But according to this, the protagonist in the song is telling a psychiatrist that he wants to kill. And that's what he played for his closing argument. Like, the dude is out of his mind. After less than 2 days of deliberation, they returned a guilty verdict on all 5 counts of first-degree murder. In the penalty phase, they brought a surprise witness to the trial for the penalty phase. It was Tally Shapiro, which was his first victim. Richard Rappaport was a psychiatrist paid by Alcala, and the only defense witness to testify that borderline personality disorder could explain why Alcala had no memory of the murder. The prosecutor argued that Alcala was a sexual predator who knew what he was doing and just didn't care. In March 2010, he was sentenced to death for the 3rd time. March 10th, 2010, Huntington Beach, California, New York Police Department released 120 of Alcala's photographs and sought the public's help in identifying in hopes that determining if any of the women and children photographed were additional victims. Approximately 900 photos could not be made public because they were too sexually explicit. In the first few weeks, it reported that approximately 21 women had come forward to identify themselves, and at least 6 families said they had believed to recognize loved ones who had disappeared years ago and never found. Now, I was watching this video, and apparently one of the women was identified. She was riding a motorcycle, and it was something with her little toe. There was something about her little toe that someone recognized because of her pinky toe. And apparently it was an open case, and I don't remember. They don't mention it here, but on that video they did, and I didn't go back and watch the video again because I started researching this a couple weeks ago when you first gave me the name. As of July 2021, 110 of the original photos remain posted online. Police continue to solicit the public's help for further identification. So that's the link for it. I'm going to link that in the description. These were other convictions that he had. New York State, after his 2010 convictions, New York authorities announced they would no longer pursue Alcala because his status as a convict waiting execution. Nevertheless, in 2011, a Manhattan grand jury indicted him for murders of Cornelia Crilly, the TWA flight attendant, Ellen Hoover, the nightclub heiress, in 1971 and 77, respectively. In 2012, he was extradited to New York, where he initially entered a not guilty plea on both counts. December 12th, he changed both pleas to guilty, saying he desired to return to California to pursue appeals of his death penalty conviction. On January 7th, 2013, Manhattan judge sentenced Alcala to 25 years to life. Death penalty is not an option in New York State since 2007. Washington State. 2010, Seattle police named Alcala as a person of interest in the unsolved murders of Antoinette Whitaker, 13, in July 1977, Joyce Gaunt, 17, in February 1978. Alcala rented that storage locker up there. It was later found a jewelry belonging to both California victims in 1979. Other cold cases were reportedly targeted investigations in California, New York, New Hampshire, Arizona. San Francisco. That's your city.
Mm-hmm.
That's your town, bro. In March 2011, investigators in Marin County, California, north of San Francisco, announced that they were confident that Alcala was responsible for the 1977 murder of 19-year-old Pamela Jean Lamson. Wow. Who disappeared after making a trip to Fisherman's Wharf to meet a man who offered to photographer.
Hey, I've been down to Fisherman's Wharf.
I know you have.
Restaurant down there.
You said that. Her battered and naked body was subsequently found in Marin County near a hiking trail with no fingerprints or usable DNA. Charges were never filed. Police claimed there was sufficient evidence to convince them Alcala had committed the crime. Wyoming. In September 2016, Alcala was charged with the murder of 28-year-old Christine Ruth Thornton, who disappeared in 19... This is the one who recognized the pinky toe. In 2013, a relative recognized her as a subject of one of Alcala's photos made public in Huntington Beach, California, PD, and NYPD. Her body was found in Sweetwater County, Wyoming, in 1972, but was not identified until 2015 when DNA supplied by Thornton's relatives matched a tissue sample of her remains. Alcala admitted taking the photo, but not to killing the woman, who was approximately 6 months pregnant at the time. Thornton is the first alleged murder victim linked to Alcala photos made public in 2010. The 73-year-old Alcala was reportedly too ill to make the journey to California from Wyoming to stand trial on new charges. And this is the one they saw her on a motorcycle, and it was something with her foot, that they recognized something with her foot.
Should have clubbed foot.
She might have had a missing pinky toe or a club pinky toe, or I don't know.
Should have hammer toes.
Yeah. So, Alcala died of an unspecified natural causes in Concord, California on July 24th, 2021. Just this year. At the age of 77.
What a piece of crap.
The weird thing is his very first victim here, what was her name? Tally Shapiro, ended up being the final witness against him in trial.
Yeah, that's crazy. Small world.
And I saw when I was watching the stuff, they interviewed her, And it's just crazy. This dude is a certified piece of shit.
Well, he's dead now. So, wait.
Rodney James Alcala is one of the most prolific serial killers of all time. After his arrest, detectives searched the Seattle storage locker and discovered a cache of photos, more than 1,000 photographs of women and teenage boys in sexually suggestive poses. In March 2010, after he was sentenced to death for the third time, Huntington Beach police released more than 100 photos, and that's the link I'll have on here.
100 out of 1,000.
Well, the other one, they said they were just too explicit, but they can't put them out.
Yeah, I get
it would be pornography.
I'm just saying, it's like 100 out of 1,000. Maybe there's 1,000 more victims.
It could be. The woman and one girl who had been convicted of killing in California are Jill Barcombe, 18, who was sexually assaulted, bludgeoned, and strangled before she was dumped in the Hollywood Hills. And Georgia Wixted, 27, who was sexually assaulted, strangled, and beaten in her Malibu home. Charlotte Lamb, 32, Elsa Gundo Laundry Room. Jill, I am not butchering that last name, Parento. That might be it. 21, strangled to death in a Burbank apartment. And Robin Simso, 12 years old, who disappeared in Huntington Beach Pier in 79. After sentencing, Orange County District Attorney Tony Rakarakis declared.
Caucus?
Is that what it is?
There's no other extra R in there.
Rakakis declared Rodney Alcala is the poster child for the death penalty. It is believed he may have as many as 130 victims.
Apparently he's the poster child for the failure of the justice system.
Well, you go right back to the very first one, and, I'm not going to second guess the officer who came in the building because he was worried about the child that was laying on the floor that he found was alive. But if you could have caught him right there, you could have stopped all this. And I'm not second guessing his actions. He did what he had to do in the moment.
Oh, hang on a minute. I'm taking a blood shower. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Okay, Mr. Alcala.
Well, he said you got 10 seconds open. So he kicked the door down. He went in, and Alcala just went out the back door.
Yeah, different times. It's not like nowadays. They probably would have shot him dead at the fucking door. I mean, I would assume he was probably covered in blood.
I don't think he actually opened the door. I think he was talking through the door. Because he was probably covered in blood.
I forget, what did they say they called the cops for?
Someone saw him take the little girl in the apartment. So even back then, there were still a couple good people.
Oh, God, I need some coffee or something, bro. I can't.
So this guy was a certified piece of shit.
Certified. I remember his picture, and like he was like, he had a fucked up. What? Oh, you went back to like, you didn't really touch on the bite mark that he left, but wasn't that something else helped convict him? Because he had like fucked up teeth. I'm sure like everybody had fucked up teeth in the 70s.
Well, I pulled up,
but I remember the video of him on the dating game, and he's like laughing, and he's got like that just like cocky fucking smile on his face, and he's got a crooked fucked up tooth.
He does have a crooked tooth. You see it on a dating game. There it is. That's him on a dating game.
His fucking feathered hair.
That's so 70s, it's not funny. And now he looks like a fucking Harry Potter wizard. Well, now he looks like worm food, but like all these pictures, he looks so different.
Is that Charlie Manson?
Where? Here?
Picture you got up.
This? No, that's him. That's Alcala. Probably right before he died. Anywho, that is it. 100% POS. We forgot to talk about the den.
No.
We're on the Deluxe Edition Network now. We've mentioned that, but the month of December, we
It's
are
gonna be us.
we are the Spotlight podcast.
Spotlight Queens.
So show us in a good light.
Cheers.
Here's to that. So we took on the game show killer. Now y'all go take on the world.
Our podcasts exist because of listeners like you. To find other great shows, head over to the den.show. Thanks for listening.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that.
Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
You want to be my wife? Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.